Jinwan stepped deeper into the nightclub, and the heat of the crowded room wrapped around him like a heavy cloak made of noise and sweat and restless fear. The lights shifted in slow waves of crimson and violet, turning every shadow into a place where secrets could hide from hungry eyes. Music thudded through the floor in a steady pulse that felt like the heartbeat of something alive and watchful and waiting. Jinwan moved with careful steps, weaving through dancers whose faces were painted with forced smiles that never reached their eyes. He had come here searching for answers, yet now he found something far more dangerous pulling his attention toward the center of the room. Amara stood near the private lounge entrance, her posture graceful but tense, as if she balanced on the edge of a blade that threatened to cut her with every breath she took. Her dress shimmered beneath the lights, and though it drew the gaze of many, it was her expression that captured Jinwan's focus. She looked outward as though watching the crowd, but her thoughts were somewhere deeper, somewhere shadowed by purpose. When the Mafia boss approached her, the atmosphere changed, as if the entire room inhaled and held the breath captive. The tall figure moved with a confidence sharpened by years of command and cruelty, and the crowd parted at his presence like water bending away from a storm. Jinwan could feel a silent warning echoing through the room, for everyone knew that the boss never approached someone without a reason, and that reason was rarely gentle. As the boss reached Amara, he leaned close, not with affection but with dominance warped into charm. He spoke softly enough that only those near them could hear, yet his voice slid through the air like cold steel. He made the remark about her corset being too tight and offered to loosen it himself. Not as a kindness but as a test of power, a coil of threat hidden beneath the words. Amara stood perfectly still, her eyes steady, yet darkened by something fierce and calculating. Jinwan watched as she let silence settle between them, as if she was measuring the weight of his intentions and the risk of her response. She did not flinch, she did not smile, and she did not bow, and that alone made the boss tilt his head in interest. Jinwan sensed the tension rising in thin, invisible strands, linking the three of them together in a triangle of danger. He stepped closer, blending into the crowd, but always keeping Amara in his sight. He did not know why he felt compelled to protect her, yet he could not ignore the pull of instinct urging him forward. Amara lifted her chin, and her voice, though soft, carried a steady strength that cut through the music. For a moment, she told the boss that she could endure discomfort, and that she did not require his assistance. Though her words were polite, her tone carried an edge that only someone willing to face death without fear could hold. The boss smiled, not with amusement but with curiosity, the type of smile that meant trouble for anyone standing too close. He asked her something, but Jinwan could not hear the words, for they were swallowed by the noise around them. Still, he watched their exchange with growing unease, for he recognized the look in the boss's eyes. It was the look of a predator who has found prey that might bite back. Amara answered him with a calm that seemed almost unnatural, as if she were guiding each word with precise intention while hiding the storm inside her. The boss leaned even closer, narrowing the space between them until the air trembled with unspoken threats. Jinwan took another step forward, his hand brushing the inside of his jacket where a small blade rested hidden. He did not intend to use it unless forced, but every instinct screamed that he should be ready. Around them the nightclub continued, as though unaware of the quiet conflict unfolding at its heart. Dancers moved like waves in the dim light, their joy hollow their movements. Numb people at the bar whispered among themselves, pretending not to stare, yet unable to look away. Everyone understood that the wrong word from Amara could ignite the temper of the man before her. Yet Amara held herself as though carved from stone, her expression unwavering. With a subtle movement, she shifted her weight and placed one foot slightly behind the other, a stance too deliberate to be casual. Jinwan recognized it instantly, for it was the posture of someone trained to defend themselves. The realization struck him with a jolt. She was not simply a beautiful woman caught in the path of a dangerous man. She was here on purpose, and every second she spent standing before the boss was part of something far more complex than anyone realized. Jinwan watched as Amara tilted her head and spoke again, her voice soft enough that only the boss could hear. His expression changed for a moment, a flicker of surprise passing through his eyes. Quickly replaced by suspicion, he asked her another question, his posture stiffening ever so slightly. Amara responded calmly, still controlling her breath, her tone devoid of fear. The boss studied her in silence, as though searching for cracks in her composure, but she revealed nothing. Jinwan felt his pulse rise, for he understood that the boss was moments away from deciding something dangerous. He had seen this before. A single gesture, a single breath out of place could decide whether someone walked out of the club alive. Amara reached for her drink but did not lift it. Instead she traced her finger along the rim, a subtle signal that only someone paying close attention would notice. Ginwan realized she was marking time, counting seconds, waiting for something or someone. The boss followed the movement of her hand, and though his expression remained neutral, the tension between them sharpened. Ginwan braced himself, knowing that the next action could shatter the fragile stillness holding the room together. Then the boss reached out his hand, as if to touch her corset again, testing her boundaries, testing her courage, testing her purpose. The moment stretched impossibly long. Ginwan felt his muscles tighten as he prepared to step forward. Amara did not move away, but she angled her body just enough that the boss's hand hovered inches from her, yet did not make contact. Her eyes rose to meet his, and in that silent stare, she delivered a message that required no words. A warning, a promise, a threat. The boss slowly lowered his hand, not out of mercy but out of intrigue. Ginwan exhaled a breath he had not realized he was holding. Amara remained still, but Ginwan sensed her determination rooted deeper than fear, deeper than hesitation. He did not know what she had come here to accomplish, but he understood one thing with absolute clarity: this night was only the beginning. And whatever storm Amara carried with her was about to break open across all of them. The moment the nightclub plunged into darkness, a ripple of confusion swept through the crowd as people gasped and stumbled and reached for phones that failed to offer comfort in the heavy gloom. The music cut off, leaving only muffled whispers, footsteps, and the frantic beat of hearts trying to understand what had happened. Ginwan felt the shift like a tremor running through the floor, as if the building itself had inhaled in fear. He knew immediately this blackout was no accident. Amara moved first, her silhouette barely visible but her presence unmistakable, as she slipped away from the boss with a quiet precision that spoke of long training and a mission that had finally reached its critical moment. Ginwan forced his eyes to adjust to the thin strands of red emergency light flickering along the edges of the room. He saw shadows lunging and figures scrambling, while the guards closest to the boss reacted with sharp barks of confusion. Amara used chaos like a cloak, melting past the curtains of the private lounge and into the restricted corridor beyond, where the true danger waited. Ginwan knew he had no reason to follow her. He owed her nothing. He did not know her. Yet the thought of letting her face the hidden threat alone tore at something deep inside him. He took a breath, steadying himself as his mind raced through the risks. Still he moved. He pushed through the crowd, using the cover of panic to mask his direction. While keeping one hand near the blade, tucked beneath his jacket, guards rushed past him, trying to find the source of the outage, shouting orders that only added to the confusion. Ginwan slipped behind them and into the corridor, where the air felt colder and the atmosphere heavier, as though the walls held secrets far more dangerous than the lounge outside. Ahead he heard the faint echo of footsteps, quick but controlled. Amara, she was moving with purpose. She was running toward something rather than away. Ginwan followed the sound, careful to stay silent as he approached the corner, where a sliver of emergency light revealed to guards searching the hallway with flashlights. Seconds passed, then he saw Amara step from the shadows behind them. Her movements were fluid as water and sharp as a blade. She struck the first guard with a swift motion that left him dropping to his knees, unable to call out. The second guard turned, but she disarmed him with a twist of precision and knocked him unconscious before his body could react. Ginwan watched in amazement, for her skill was far beyond anything he had expected. She paused only long enough to steady her breath before continuing forward. He followed. When she reached a reinforced door at the end of the hallway, she knelt and began to work quickly with tools hidden inside her dress. Her hands moved with confidence, as if she had studied the door for years. Ginwan stepped closer, letting a soft sound announce his presence so she would not mistake him for another threat. She froze for a moment, then turned her head slightly. Her eyes met his through the dim light, and he saw a flicker of recognition, not of him but of his intention. He was here to help. Though she said nothing, she returned to the lock, as if accepting his silent decision. Ginwan moved to stand guard, listening for footsteps in the distance. The club above remained in chaos, but he sensed the blackout would not last long. Time was running short. The lock clicked softly. Amara stood and pushed the door open, revealing a narrow staircase leading downward into a place few people knew existed. She motioned for him to follow and descended without hesitation. The air below was colder and carried the metallic scent of old secrets. They entered a hidden chamber where computers hummed softly, powered by backup generators. On a desk lay stacks of documents, weapons, and a single black briefcase sealed with a biometric lock. Amara approached the briefcase with the same measured caution she had used with the corridor guards. Ginwan understood now why she was here. This was evidence. Evidence powerful enough to shatter the Mafia circle and expose every crime buried beneath the club's glittering surface. Amara placed her hand on the biometric scanner, but nothing happened. She frowned, a rare crack in her calm demeanor. Jinwan saw her glance at the computer screen beside the briefcase where a program displayed live security feeds. One camera flickered, showing the boss moving through the corridors above, followed by reinforcements. He was coming and he knew exactly where to go. Amara took a step back, analyzing the briefcase with sharp focus. She whispered something under her breath, though the words melted into the humming air. Then she knelt again and removed a slim device from a concealed pocket. Ginwin watched her attach it to the lock and manipulate the controls with a careful touch. He heard footsteps upstairs growing sharper and closer. He drew his blade, holding it low, his heartbeat steadying as he prepared for confrontation. The device emitted a soft tone. The briefcase latch released. Amara opened it, and her expression hardened with resolve. Inside lay documents, flash drives, and a small audio recorder, each item capable of destroying the boss if delivered to the right hands. She gathered everything swiftly, placing them into an inner pouch beneath her dress designed for concealment. Jinwan motioned toward the back exit of the chamber, but Amara shook her head. There is only one way out. Her gesture seemed to say, the same way we came. They climbed the stairs and paused by the reinforced door, listening. Voices murmured on the other side. The boss spoke with a quiet fury that turned the corridor into a place of dread. Amara took a slow breath, then Jinwan stepped forward, surprising even himself as he moved in front of her. He signaled that he would draw the guards away. She stared at him with a mixture of disbelief and something softer, something grateful. With a single nod she accepted his offer. Jinwan pushed the door open and burst into the hallway, the blade glinting beneath the dim emergency lights. Two guards lunged toward him, shouting. He dodged the first strike and deflected the second, using every skill he had learned on the streets, not refined, but effective. He delivered a sharp blow that sent one guard crashing into the wall. The second grappled with him, forcing him backward over the chaos. Jinwan saw Amara slip silently from the chamber and move down a side corridor, disappearing like a shadow carried by the wind. The guard pinned him briefly before Jinwan used a desperate burst of strength to break free. He stumbled but regained his footing in time to hear the boss's voice echo through the hallway, growing closer with each step Jinwan ran. He knew he could not overpower them all. His goal was only to buy her time. Behind him, shouts filled the air, and footsteps thundered closer, but he kept moving, twisting through corridors until he burst into a maintenance room where he slipped behind machinery and held his breath. Guards raced past, unaware of his hiding place. The blackout ended and lights flickered back on, bathing the club in harsh brightness. Jinwan exhaled slowly. Somewhere above, Amara was escaping with the evidence. Somewhere ahead, the Mafia circle was crumbling. And somewhere in the spreading storm, their fates were weaving together in ways neither of them yet understood.